Autopsy results confirm what the family of Sonya Massey already know. The Springfield woman died from a gunshot wound to the head. The sheriff's deputy who fired the shot has pleaded not guilty to charges.
I was never told that it was a deputy-involved shooting. We were under the impression that she was by the intruder.
Said it's under investigation. And then they said that they told the doctor at the hospital that she committed first. And then they changed it. It's not real. This can't be real. I don't know how this could be real. I'm sorry.
OMG! Sonya Massey, a black woman, tragically lost her life during an encounter with law enforcement. But as more details emerge, this case is turning out to be way more complicated than anyone first thought. So, what went down? On July 6th, Sonya called 911 to report a possible prowler near her home. Seems pretty standard, right? But here's where things get messy. When the deputies arrived, including Officer Shawn Grayson, the situation quickly spiraled out of control. Now, let's rewind a bit. In the days leading up to this incident, Sonya had been going through some stuff. Her mom, Donna Massey, had called 911 on July 5th, worried about Sonya's mental state. She even begged the authorities not to send a regular officer. Red flag number one, folks. On that same day, Sonya made multiple 911 calls herself. In one, she claimed a neighbor had broken her car window with a brick. Later, she admitted to breaking another window herself to get into her car. It's clear our girl was going through it. Fast forward to July 6th. Body cam footage shows deputies Grayson and his partner arriving at Sonya's home. They start questioning her and things seem calm at first, but then Sonya goes to turn off a boiling pot on the stove and suddenly all hell breaks loose. Here's where it gets really messed up. Officer Grayson's body cam mysteriously turned off during the interaction. Thankfully, his partner's camera caught everything. And what it showed contradicted the initial reports big time. Sonya's family was initially told that an intruder was responsible for her death. Can you believe that? It wasn't until Sonya's uncle stumbled upon a report mentioning a deputy's involvement that the truth started to come out. Talk about a cover-up. Now let's talk about Officer Shawn Grayson. Buckle up because this guy's backstory is wild. First off, how did he even become a cop? Well, it turns out having connections can get you pretty far. Grayson's girlfriend's dad, Scott Butterfield, a former sheriff's deputy, gave him a glowing recommendation. Talk about nepotism. But wait, it gets worse. Grayson's past is shadier than a palm tree on a sunny day. He was discharged from the U.S. Army in 2016 for misconduct. And that's not all. He's got not one, but 2 DUI charges on his record. In 2015 and 2016, he pleaded guilty and had to pay hefty fines. He even lost his driving privileges for a year. Like, how does someone with this record become a cop? Since 2020, Grayson has bounced around 6 different law enforcement agencies in Illinois. Red flag much? At one point, he was even advised to take high-stress decision-making classes after he failed to slow down during a high-speed chase, even after his supervisor called it off. He ended up crashing into a deer going 110 mep. This guy clearly has issues following orders. But here's the kicker. Despite all this, Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell hired Grayson. When asked about it after the Massey incident, Campbell had the audacity to say, "The vetting process has worked very well for a long time. This is an individual that acted outside the scope of his authority." Excuse me? If the vetting process worked so well, how did someone like Grayson slip through the cracks? Now, let's talk conspiracy theories because the internet is buzzing. Some people think there might be a connection between Sonya and Grayson's fiancée, Isabel Butterfield. Apparently, they met at a mental health treatment center where Isabel worked. Sonya was wearing a hospital bracelet when she died, which has fueled speculation about what really went down. But it gets even creepier. Have you seen the tattoo on Grayson's hand? Some online sleuths think it might be linked to police gangs or even white supremacist groups. And get this, Grayson's partner allegedly has a similar tattoo. It's giving major red flag vibes. Speaking of police gangs, did you know that's actually a thing? Since the 1970s, there have been at least 18 identified gangs within sheriff's departments in America. These groups have their own tattoos, hand signals, and rituals just like street gangs, and they're known for being even more brutal than the criminals they're supposed to be fighting. It's like a real-life horror movie. Journalist Cerise Castle has been diving deep into this dark side of law enforcement. She started investigating after she was shot with rubber bullets while covering the George Floyd protests in 2020, despite identifying herself as press. While recovering in the hospital, she began researching these police gangs and uncovered a 50-year history of their existence. It's mind-blowing stuff, folks. Now let's talk about the bigger picture. Grayson is part of what experts call America's Legion of Wandering Officers. These are cops who bounce from department to department, sometimes even after being fired or convicted of crimes. The lack of a comprehensive national database for tracking problem officers means guys like Grayson can keep getting hired without raising red flags. Christy Lopez, a former deputy chief in the Civil Rights Division at the Justice Department, says this is a huge problem. She points out that part-time law enforcement positions like the ones Grayson held tend to attract less qualified candidates and offer less training. It's a recipe for disaster. There is a police misconduct registry called the National Decertification Index, but it's far from perfect. It doesn't catch every problem officer, and not every police agency uses it. Plus, the names in the database aren't public, so even if Grayson had been in there, which he wasn't, we wouldn't have known. After the shooting, Grayson was fired from the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office, but get this, his family is actually defending him. His grandmother-in-law wrote an op-ed titled, "Does anyone care about Shawn Grayson's family or what horrifying reality they are dealing with?" Can you believe the audacity? In the op-ed, she actually had the nerve to ask protesters, "What are you protesting? Shawn is in jail, charges are filed, trial date to be set, and punishment to be applied." Excuse me? People are protesting because Grayson shouldn't have been on the force in the first place? It's not just about him, it's about the whole messed up system that allowed someone like him to become a cop. She goes on to write about how Grayson's fiance is an innocent young woman who also is unfairly being persecuted. Girl, bye, nobody's persecuting her. People are rightfully angry about a systemic issue that led to an innocent woman's death. But the part that really had people fuming was when she wrote, "We will always support Shawn. Judge not lest you be judged. No man or woman is without sin. There is a final judgment for all." She even signed it, "Proud grandmother to be of Shawn Grayson." Like, what exactly are you proud of? He took a life for no reason. The religious references are especially ironic given that Sonia reportedly rebuked Grayson in the name of Jesus right before he drew his weapon. It's a twisted situation all around. Sonya Massey's death has sparked outrage and intense debates about police accountability and systemic racism in law enforcement. It's a stark reminder of the work that still needs to be done to reform our justice system and ensure that those sworn to protect and serve are actually fit for the job. The way this case was handled feels like a slap in the face to anyone who believes in justice and fair play. From the alleged setup to the shocking footage that emerged, it's clear that there's a lot more to this story than meets the eye. So, what can we take away from all this? First, we need better vetting processes for police officers. Someone with Grayson's history should never have been given a badge and gun. Second, we need more transparency and accountability in law enforcement. No more cover-ups, no more blue wall of silence. Third, we need to address the issue of mental health and police response. Sonia was clearly in crisis, and instead of getting the help she needed, she lost her life. And finally, we need to have serious conversations about systemic racism and police brutality in America. Cases like Sonia's are tragically common, and it's long past time for change. This case is a wake-up call, loves. It's not just about Sonya Massey or Shawn Grayson. It's about a system that's broken and needs fixing. We need to keep talking about these issues, keep protesting, and keep demanding change. So, what do you think about all this? Are you shocked by Grayson's history? Do you think the system failed Sonya Massey? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep fighting for justice. We can make a difference if we all work together. Until next time, stay woke, loves. Goodbye.